all.
And I think there is a lot of humor in funerals.
Of
I
course.
don't know if you noticed that.
Très bien. Donc, 3, 2, 1.
All right, thank you so much. We are on another. I feel like I have a voiceover. We are on another episode of Another Day in Paradise. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you
you've been
for-
gone for a while. We missed you. All
Thank you
four
for
of us.
having me. And yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, thank you
been
for
a
being
while.
here. Thank you for being here with us. So we are both a little sick.
Yes.
Don't worry. Like we will not transmit
Yes.
our disease over
It's
over
just
YouTube.
the wide angle view, but there's 1 meter between us. Everything is very...
Yeah. And we were talking about a quick thing before we jump onto the subject. We were talking about I met a friend, Malik, who's probably gonna move to the city where I'm from, where I live, and I'm very happy about it. And he said something. He's one of the guys who shows support to this podcast, Another Day in Paradise, and to the other podcast in French, Ça reste entre nous. I will leave the name of the podcast and the address on the comment. And he's one of the few people, and we have a couple of them. I'm not gonna lie, but who show active support and who tell us, listen. I follow all of your podcasts. Thank you. This one was funny. This one was interesting, etc., etc. And this one was shit. Yeah, you know it happens. But but yeah, more seriously, like he's been showing a lot of support. And some of us, I've met some people who said, "How your last podcast was really cool." And honestly, yes, we don't have a lot of views, but this means the world that we have a few
100%,
people who follow us,
100%.
like. Who binge watch us, etc.
Well, it makes it all worth it.
Definitely. Just 2 or 3 of
Well,
them.
to be honest,
Yeah,
it's worth it from the get-go, but...
true. But it feels really
it
good.
feels really good.
It feels really, really good. So thank you to those guys who follow us, and please don't hesitate to drop a comment, to like, to share,
Subscribe.
help us grow this channel. It's growing slowly but steadily, and honestly, it's just as much fun as the first time. And we will
Even
probably
more
do it.
sometimes.
Yeah, honestly,
Most
we will,
of the time.
we will probably be doing it
For a while.
for a long time until we get really old, and then obviously the topics will change a little bit. Speaking of getting old, wow,
Aye,
the trends.
What a transition.
It's like marvelous. Last week, this is a little bit of a serious moment, but last week I was supposed to do a podcast with the new guest that I am probably going to have next week. We will have a couple new people here joining us and having fun with us, but I had to cancel because I had to go to some funerals, and basically my uncle died. And which brings us to a few topics that are actually interesting. So funerals, we all lost somebody, and which is very, very it's a little bit, when I was younger, I was a little bit scared from funerals because I don't know how people would react, and it would freak me out if I see people like screaming and crying and throwing themselves and like
Well, to be fair, funerals in Morocco are quite particular. So
For sure.
it has like all this cultural
aspect to it.
aspect to it and things like that. It's long.
It is. Also, although I heard like Cuban funerals are very long. Like they opened they do like open caskets, etc. And they stay like for 3 days or something like that, and people can come for 3 days and visit and say their goodbyes to the body or to the person. So let me start by this. I know I'm getting a little bit. I'm giving a little bit of details, but honestly, I don't think anybody would mind. And people who would mind, I don't think they listen. So I'm not being disrespectful by giving away those details. But my uncle was very sick. Not very sick. Like, he was just getting old. He's getting up there in his 80s, and he had some high blood pressure, some high sugar level, diabetes, etc.,
the
etc. And he
Moroccan
also had,
trifecta,
just
basically.
like regular old people sicknesses. And he was also, he had some heart issues, and he had to put some stances, and he already had some previous like heart problems, and he said, and he didn't want to have this operation, this surgery.
Okay.
And his brothers were like, no, 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 you have to, come on, like it will help you, blah, blah, blah.
But
We wanna...
they're all from the medical
Yeah,
field,
yeah.
right?
Most of my
Yeah.
family, my family is in the medical field, like pharmacists, doctors, etc., including my
Okay.
dad, etc. So, and his theory is like, his argument is like, I'm too old for this shit. I don't need to go through the surgery and then recover from the surgery and this and that. For what? I'm already really old. I'm already banged up. Let me just appreciate and enjoy my life. And we hear that a lot with cancer people, which my uncle was not one of them. But a lot of people, like when they are very old, they're like, I'm not going through like chemo and this shit. So what do you think about this? Like, because me, I had to, everybody was like putting an effort to say,
Yeah.
no, convince him. And one day I had him here in my living room, and I said, "Yeah, you know what, Uncle? I kind of agree with you. Like, just ride the wave until it fades out. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, why would you go through this pain? Like, my uncle is like, I'm not gonna go and run a marathon after this operation.
Yeah.
It's not gonna like do much.
Well, that's the thing. It's very often, especially when you're in old, like an advanced age,
Yeah,
what are you really gaining?
True.
That's the question. Is it like a couple of years more?
yeah,
But and what's the downfall? What's the downside of it? Like some people would rather spend a year, like feeling good
Yeah.
and not being in a paranoid about death every day and just
yeah. Just ride it out.
ride it out.
Yeah.
And but usually it's a lot of people I think do it for the family.
Mm.
It kind of like sets it puts them at ease more than I think the person that's sick.
Yeah. No, I understand, but I also understood my uncle when he said like,
No, just for the record, I definitely agree with that. Like
Yeah.
at some points, anyone, I think anyone, if you ask like anyone, do you want to live like half a life but like fulfilled and happy and healthy and all that stuff, or like a full life but with medication and limitations and all that stuff?
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think a lot of people would
tough
choose
decision,
the latter.
for sure. But also, like nowadays, we can extend life, but we cannot extend quality of life, and that's the problem. Like we live longer, but we don't live better. Like starting after like we reach like the 80s, it's downhill from there. Like we cannot walk properly, we cannot run, we cannot like take care of ourselves. We have to have people around us, etc. So we can't do a lot of things that we could do maybe 20 years earlier, but we will still probably live, like they say that the generation that is born right now is definitely gonna go over 100. So
Yeah, with the
like, is
advancements
this
and
a good
everything.
thing? Is this a good thing? I'm
Well,
not sure.
Well, the reality of things is that it's having like a good mental health throughout
For
anything
sure.
is the most
Is key.
important. Like
Big time.
if you're I really think it's a mindset kind of game. So some people, because I see examples in that I've come across of people like not too old, like mid-50s, things like that do like this supposedly life-changing surgery where their life is gonna get so much better, and actually like
Goes
they just
downhill.
went straight to the finish line. Almost, they're not. Unfortunately for them, it's hard to say, but it's almost unfortunately for them, they don't pass away. They just spend 10, 15, 20
Yeah.
years being like at the very like barely surviving,
Yeah, they drag it out too much, maybe.
and I'm sure that those people, you ask them, do you regret it, or
Probably, yeah.
they would tell you like sometimes I even think personally that ignorance is bliss.
For sure.
You know,
For sure.
like you wake up one day, uh, or you don't wake up one day,
It's go.
you know, like,
Yeah.
and it's okay. But
Yeah.
very often, like we see this with cancers and things like that. Like they catch the sickness early on, where like the symptoms didn't really kick in that hard,
Mm-hmm.
and they start treating it and stuff, and it accelerates sometimes the things
Yeah. Yeah. They
and
provoke it
and
in a way.
sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes you think like maybe the best course of action would have been never to have gone,
Yeah. Don't touch it if it's not.
not even be aware of it. And
That's true.
one day you, yeah, this the sore throat went a bit too long, and oh shit,
Yeah.
okay, so
Now
bye
he's
bye.
gone. Yeah,
You
no,
know,
that's true. A long time ago, I think that's what happened. We
yeah,
didn't diagnose those
exactly.
sicknesses,
And
and
I think that I truly believe that ignorance is bliss, because
true.
uh, I see a lot of people, especially women, around me. I'm not once again,
Yeah.
you know,
No, you can be
but
controversial here. That's fine.
a lot of women around me, I see their relationship with the internet
Mm.
when it comes to health, and they are 100% sure they're gonna die every 2 days,
Yeah.
and they stress about it, and they read a bunch of stuff, Doctissimo,
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff, and
Mm.
I think it really messes you up.
That's true. That's true. Like they call them, I think, hypochondriacs or something. But anyways, yeah, like people who are always afraid and they
Sorry,
think, yeah,
my bad.
that's fine.
Do you have a tissue? Because I don't want to start sniffing on the mic every 2 seconds.
It seems used. It's not. I
Okay.
promise you. I just put it. I use it as coasters.
It's all
So,
good.
anyways, so yeah. The long story short, for my uncle, unfortunately, God bless him and rest in peace. But he died having a surgery that he was so scared about, and he said, "Why would I take a risk to take a surgery when I would probably risk to shorten my life and die?" And the benefits are not that great. Like, let me just write it out. Fortunately, he died. So
So he succumbed to the pressure of the family and all
Yeah,
that stuff against
yeah.
his will.
But also, maybe he was just scared of having surgery. I don't know who's right, who's wrong. To be
yeah,
honest,
no,
like
of course,
nobody's right or wrong.
there's no way to foresee this. It's a
But it's-
decision, but
So which brings us to funerals.
mm,
One of the funerals that I remember when I was very, very young. I didn't go to the funerals, but I remember like somebody kind of close to me died, which was my grandfather.
yeah, okay,
When he died, I was young. I remember that day. I feel almost a little bit ashamed, but I didn't really feel that much. Like I remember my mother,
Yeah.
because it was her dad. I heard her like in a room like screaming and like freaking out,
mm-hmm.
and it scared me. And that scared me, and that I remember shocked me more than the actual death of my grandfather, which I used to see once a year for roughly 2 months every year, because we used to go to a city
Yeah.
called Agadir and spend the summer there. But I was just too young, and I didn't share that much with him. He died. I was maybe 8,
Okay.
I think 8, around 8 years old. So I was still like a young kid, and yeah, I felt sad. And in my head, I'm like, wow, so I'm never gonna see him again. And I remember I was having actually nightmares. I know this is gonna sound very, very strange. Now we went we went deep.
All right.
But I used to see him, dream about him, and I was seeing him like in his house, and I would walk by and I would tell him like, "What are you doing here? You're dead." And I would try to kill him. I know it sounds fucked up. And honestly, it messed with my head for a long time. But for me, he's dead, and I was trying to make sense of all of this. And
And this, you were how old were you?
I was like 8, like I said, 8,
Well,
maybe 9.
a kid kind of comes up with ways like to kind of rationalize
Yeah,
stuff like
I
you're
did not
sup-
understand it, and I know Yeah, he also died unfortunately in my on my brother's birthday. So every time it's his birthday, my mom is like
Yeah, yeah.
remembering her dad, which is a little bit fucked up. But anyway, so that's my first thing, and but I didn't go to the funerals, thank God, because I think at that age it would have been maybe too much. Just
Yeah,
seeing my mom
it
freaking
is.
out, it was too
It is
much.
very particular. To be honest, uh, in my experience, I've been to funerals. You know, of
How old were you when you went to the first one? Like when you were a kid, did your parents ever take you to funerals when you were a kid?
no.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want, to present
Yeah,
my
condolences, etc.
condolences
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff. Usually it's around the third day,
yeah,
things
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But quite I was quite old when I had my first death in that was
Close one.
close,
Yeah.
like in the family. I was probably around 18
Okay.
at the time, and that's the first thing that hit me was how can I people kind of lose it.
Not as much as I thought they would, to be honest.
I don't know. We didn't go to the
Maybe.
same ones, but there was a lot of his
Hysteria and people
hysteria
rolling on the floor,
and
etc.
stuff, and the one that kind of like hit me the hardest, to be honest, because I lost my one of my grandfathers before I was born,
Okay.
and on my father's side, and actually it's at the death of my grandma from my father's side.
Yeah.
That was the one that kind of like
Fucked you up.
not fucked me up, but that's the first time, first of all, that I saw my dad, like, which is kind of like the
That's true.
stereotype of
That's true.
the big guy, strong guy,
Yeah.
very he's someone who's like
You look up to, yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. When you see him like
and
fall apart,
he
it's
was
fucked
like
up.
a child,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's when I don't know, me personally, that was my relationship. Like at that moment, I was like, right now you need to be the adult.
yeah,
Right now, like, and be the rational and be the stuff and be the support and but it's that kind of like
reshaped everything. Yeah,
it's kind of particular because basically when there's a funeral in Morocco, culturally, normally there's family from all over the country that comes. Normally they stay together, they help you cook this.
yeah,
Today in the modern world, it kind of keeps certain aspects of it, but one of the things that kind of like messes me up like crazy is when there's a funeral, it's an event. So you just lost someone.
that's very true.
You need to organize
To cater, like, yeah,
cater for like morning, lunch,
Yeah.
dinners for hundreds,
yeah,
because like everybody comes, and it's like when I say everyone, like everyone you ever said hello
yeah,
to,
yeah. Even your neighbors, they
your
swing by.
neighbors,
Everybody,
everyone.
like people from the shop, from the supermarket, everybody who hears it will come.
Exactly, and even the costs. When I heard the costs,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, guys, they just lost someone. Why are you putting them through handling all that people?
But what
And
would be the alternative? Like people,
well,
come-
culturally, people came to help, and
True.
they cook, they do
They chip
this,
in,
they
yeah,
chip
yeah.
in. Here now, it's like everybody comes.
they sit and they expect
sit,
things to happen.
They
Yeah.
expect things to happen, and like depending on your social levels and stuff, you need to do things big and stuff, and it's like tens of thousands sometimes.
True, for sure. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
This is like it's. I know that the example is not the best, but you have to spend money you don't have, just like what we do in weddings.
Exactly.
You have to like impress and like you have to represent in a way. So
Yeah,
for your
that-
funerals, you have to represent.
That's what's weird, and and often like there's drama that comes in because you very often like all the brothers and sisters, for instance, don't have the same incomes.
Yeah.
So there's someone usually the one or two who have the most income
Take care of
leads
everything.
on the things.
But you know
But
what?
there's always drama and, stuff.
The ones who didn't chip in at all are the more they
Yeah.
criticize the most. Oh, we should have had this. we
No,
should have had that.
and they
Dude,
put
he
the
didn't pay
drama
for
like,
shit.
oh, it's this and this and this.
We should have done this. We should have done that. Dude,
Exactly.
you didn't chip in for shit. Like we should have
Exactly.
done nothing.
And this raises up a lot of stuff.
True.
And
Animosities, and also like going back to like the emotional part, and then we will talk about the business part, because honestly I think it's also a big aspect of it, because let's finish the business part actually, because one of the big aspect of the business part, one day a friend of mine told me that so his dad was actually well off, I would say, like rich in a way, and he when his father died, some of his uncles, so a lot of people, his brothers, whatever, his siblings, etc., they came from some of them lived outside the country, so they came,
yeah,
and his uncle told him, listen, let's use this opportunity while you all here, let's go to the notary and settle the heritage now that you are here, because everybody's gonna go back outside the country. So let me
Yeah,
when he said this, the first thing is I was like, you, this is disgusting. Like the guy is still warm, but
It's not
but in a
disgusting.
way,
No,
in
no.
a way, he's right, because everybody is here. Yes, it's emotional.
That's the issue, because we have another thing that I think is important, is that I know it has kind of like a religious background and things don't work the same way. Like women, men, they don't get the same.
Oh yeah,
shares.
that's
But
another.
one of the
ballgame,
problems
sure.
that I see is that people don't prepare their death.
Yes,
And
Yes.
when you don't prepare your death, and
it's a mess.
and you have like a lot of let's say
Assets.
not easily liquefiable
Yeah,
assets,
yeah, for sure.
then like there's always stuff that's like crazy, like
It
people
creates
coming
hyenas.
from a hyena mode is on.
For sure.
And it's quite particular, and usually you don't want to go into negotiation mode. Like I get that, like, let's settle whatever, because it's true, we're not gonna, someone who lives in the US is not gonna come back 3 times to sign a paper.
True.
If
He's here.
here, let's do it. But it needs to be kind of like done in a way where it's kind of prepared, because like if it's then you start we see prime real estate in our city that is abandoned because
Of heritage
problems. Like when I'm telling you prime real estate, I'm talking about multi-million in
Yeah.
US dollars
Properties in the center of the city that are like abandoned, for sure. Yeah,
abandoned.
wrecked. But here's the thing. I think it's the deceased who should
Yeah,
be better prepared.
100%.
I think, and also like I was talking to an accountant about this, and he told me, oh yeah, heritage is like a big mess usually, and it's usually that creates a lot of hatred amongst siblings, etc., and family members, especially when there is a lot of money involved. Usually when there is just like a chair and 2 tables, and who cares? Like, okay, you can have them all, and we focus on the sentimental thing. Oh, we lost our dad, or we lost our mom.
Yeah, of course.
But when it becomes like, oh, he left us the Chateau La Forge, or
I'm gonna tell
Chateau
you something. Even chateau and stuff, that's still something where you can find a common ground, which is like, let's sell the whole stuff. And
Not
and-
really. Let me give you a
but
counter
I'm gonna
example.
I'm
Go
gonna
ahead,
give
go
you
ahead.
like the worst case scenarios that I've seen so much. Let's say you and me,
Okay.
we're friends.
Yeah.
We do a business.
Yes. The podcast.
good
is going
business,
great.
right?
Oh, it's going great.
We have kids.
Yes. Oh, okay.
They grow up. They work with us.
Yes.
Good business.
Yes.
They have grandchildren. They work with us too.
Okay.
Good business.
It's a dynasty at this point. Okay.
Then we leave this earth.
Mm-hmm.
This shit show of 2
Oh, yeah.
families mixed in with multiple generations.
That's true.
And
That's true.
I worked with him, yeah, but I'm his son.
I
but
helped him
did-
build it,
helped him build it.
etc. Yeah, yeah.
I put money in, but
Yeah.
this man,
That's why I think, honestly, Americans, they do it a little bit better. Everything is clear.
well,
There
when
is
it's
no
prepared.
There is no, oh, my son, he's helping. No, he's an employee. He will pay taxes. He will have a paycheck. He will
100%.
have this. In Morocco, we do a lot of things like, yeah, I'm helping my dad in the farm. No, it should be like notarized.
Exactly.
It should be written. But a lot of Moroccans, they do it. He's my son. Like, I'm not going to write a piece of paper because I love my son. Yes, but the day you will die, your son will have to turn around and deal with his other brothers.
Yeah.
And he's been living in the house, in a house annexed to your house for free. Now the brothers are going to be like, oh, you didn't pay rent for... I've been paying rent and you haven't
Yeah.
been paying rent.
Yeah, but I
It made a
redid
big
the
mess.
kitchen.
Yes,
I
exactly.
redid the whole kitchen.
So
yeah, but I did this, and it's always like things that are not even quantifiable.
Exactly.
And,
And sometimes they say, well, I was assisting our parents.
yeah,
So it's work. So I need to be compensated. I did it for free. Yeah, but you did it for your parents. Yeah, but well, you were like enjoying life with your children, etc. I was sacrificing my life to help my parents, etc. So
and it's very hard to say who's right.
yeah, it's very hard.
Everyone has like a half decent point.
Yeah, true.
And this is why I really think that.
But to put a number on it is always like very touchy. Like, yeah, you helped your parents live their life. You went grocery
course.
shopping for them.
Of
You
course, it's
drove
the-
them,
it's-
etc., etc. How can you quantify this? Well, that's the heart of the subject, I think.
No, it's always very touchy. It's always very touchy, and but unfortunately, that's
But let's not forget, greed is a big part of it. That's why it's very touchy.
you,
Like
you want
some
me to
people-
tell you something?
But
I'm
go
gonna
ahead.
say. I'm gonna say it.
Go ahead.
I'm
go
gonna
ahead,
say it.
Go ahead.
Should I say it? Yeah, I'm gonna say it. From my experience
Yeah.
that I saw, more often than none,
Yes.
it's more the husbands and wives of the siblings.
Yes. Yes. That's true.
They're the ones
They're
putting
pushing
in
them.
that little. Oh, he really got that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. It would have been nice to got the house. I mean, we helped your parents.
kind of
for-
did this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also the fault of the siblings themselves to say, shut the fuck up, let me deal with my family
Exactly.
business.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter if it's the woman or the man. If the man is being like a little bitch, or like, oh, I mean, it would have been nice if we could have used the. Listen, shut the fuck up. Let me deal with my family.
Exactly. Me
That's it.
personally, that's my stance. Like
For sure.
anything that comes to like family, like even if I'm married, my wife or whatever, you can talk to my ear
Yeah.
and let me go with your ideas. But when it comes to like talking like family business,
Like the nuclear family.
nuclear
then
family
I
business,
have to take
I'm
care
sorry,
of business.
but
yeah.
you don't have a seat at the table.
That's true. That's true.
And-
that's true.
It's not by any means something that is disrespectful or we don't consider you like something. It's just you need to keep things at their place.
But just like you would never interfere in her family if she inherited something, listen, you deal with your family, you do what you think is fair. And if you don't get anything, we don't get anything, that's fine. If you think we
Exactly.
deserve more, like you have to deal with your part of the family, especially in such a private manner. This is your thing, this is my thing, I deal with mine.
Yeah,
you
but a
deal
lot
with
of
yours.
people see it like, oh, we share everything. But
Yeah, we do share
but
everything.
you share everything.
But we,
you know?
but we don't
Not
share the
we
same
share
parents. But we don't
everything.
share the same parents. It has to mean something. Yeah, I think heritage is usually I'm the one who not the one. I usually prefer to be like, all right, so this is what's fair. Now you don't want it. Okay, what do you think is fair? I agree. Okay, fine. Let me
Yeah.
just move on because I don't want to. I don't want to like
But
argue
to
for
be
years
honest,
and years.
to be
and years.
honest, some heritage is way easier than others.
Poor people.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. If you only
Like
have
I remember like for instance on my dad's side my grandmother like she didn't have much.
Yeah.
You know, like it was basically who wants to keep what as a souvenir.
sentimental
Yeah,
values. That's
like,
it. Yeah.
And anything and the couple of things that held a bit of value but didn't matter that much to the
Yeah.
others
Yeah.
were left to the ones that needed it the most. And it's okay. But then again, if Elon Musk is in that
Exactly.
situation,
People are gonna sharpen their knives and get ready to work. Yeah, of course. I
So,
mean, of course. But I'm sure like people like like Elon Musk would have set everything straight.
of course,
the record
but
straight.
like for instance, we have like big fortunes in Morocco that are in the case that I told you, where it's like two guys working together.
Yeah.
There's this a lot like in the medical field, like two doctors open a clinic, and then the children, and then this, and then this, and then it's like a shit show. It's complicated.
It is. It is.
It
big
is.
time. Big time. So back to the sentimental aspect of it.
Okay.
It's always a little bit emotional, of course, obviously, but for even for people who are a little bit outside. Like, for example, when you go to friend's funeral, like when your friend loses his mom, his dad, his uncle, his whatever, it's first of all, you go somewhere and you don't know anybody except 2 or 3 people, like your friend. Like recently, like not recently, but about a year ago or a little over a year, I went to a friend's funeral who lost his mom, and we knew his mom. His mom was friend with my mom, etc. So it was very emotional because I knew her. The closer you are to that person, the more emotional you are. And sometimes, if you hear that your friend's mom died, but you never met her, it sets a distance. Like you go there to pay respect, but you,
Well,
to be quite honest,
I think
you don't care. I mean, you care. You're sad for your friend, but you don't have any emotional attachment to that person. So it's like an image. Okay, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna miss her because I never seen her. I never had a discussion with her. I never. So it's it's
I see
sad.
what you mean, but like I think it really depends on who's affected by it and how deeply.
No, of
I
course.
mean, I think that's what matters the most, because I've seen like some friends of my parents that lost their parents, but it's sad to say, but it's people that they never saw for for 20 years, and even them, they're like, okay, thank you, like they're the first ones to go. That's not very sentimental, but sometimes like a friend of a mother of a friend or something that passes away, and you see your friend really being affected, it kind of touches you.
No, I mean, of course, yeah. So I went to a lot of strange and unfortunate, of course, funerals. The one of my friend, funny story. I was coming up there to the apartment. I saw his brother, who was devastated because he was very, very close to his mom. They were only like two brothers, and I met him downstairs, and he was like a mess. His face all puffed up, etc. And he was carrying like a sound system because, like you said, it's very sad. But you're the one who need to put up the work to organize everything so everybody can eat. So the sono is right. So you have to call the food guy, you have to call the catering guy, etc.
And you have zero preparation. Nobody tells you what to
and
do.
you are not in a mood to organize this shit, which
Of
is
course. And you
another
have
topic.
so many people that you don't
So
know.
many- and like you just want to relax and like feel sad for your deceased, and you have to organize a party in a way. Let me we need chairs, we need this, we need that, food, we need money. Do you have money? We need to go to the bank. You do a lot of shit, and this is everything but what you want to do. But anyways, so I see him downstairs, and he's holding like the big speaker, and he's gonna take it. And he said, "Oh shit, I forgot the cable. Let me go get the cable." I said, "Let me get this upstairs." He said, "No, Jawad, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it." I said, "No, don't worry. Let me just take it upstairs." So I took it upstairs. I go there, and I know a lot of people, but maybe like 20% of the people, because my friends, like my mom's friends, and of course my friend who lost his mom, like he's my age, so I know all his friends almost, and etc. So I go upstairs, I go with the speaker and some cables, etc. And they think I'm working there. He said, "Excuse me, Khuya, go." I'm like, so I smile a little bit, and I go there, and I help them carry some chairs and shit, and then I go back and I say hi to my friend, and all his friends. And I said, and my friend, which is very interesting, he was actually cracking jokes.
Yeah.
and he said, "Oh, so you're the DJ? Did you bring some good music?"
Well, that's the beauty of it all.
And I think there is a lot of humor in funerals.
Of
I don't know
course.
if you noticed that.
Well, actually, when the first wave of Salam Alek
Yeah.
kind of move on, and it's actually like when it dies down a bit,
You're having a good time after it dies out.
man. After
Honestly.
that, like you've already poured out all that negative stuff
Exactly.
and everything, and it's really like you kind of feel that vibe of like summer house cousins and
True.
and stuff like.
And you know what? I think it's also because it's an opportunity for you to see all your friends, all your family members, all
Yeah,
your
and all
cousins, and you
together.
don't really get to see them a lot.
No, especially
All
like
together, like you
now people are abroad and stuff like that. Like my father, for instance, has 1, 2, 3, like they're 11. All right,
Okay,
so siblings, and I think he has like 6 siblings abroad.
Mhm.
And not all at the same place. So you have like a couple in France, one in the US,
And he was
one
abroad
in,
too. So yeah. So
in
all over
Canada,
the world.
all
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
So I think within the last 60 years, there hasn't been once where they're all reunited.
Yeah.
And when you kind of see the family dynamics and who's picking on who,
Yeah.
and like you
feels good.
You only see like this uncle, their relationship.
Yeah.
And stuff,
Separately.
seeing the
But to see
family
them
and
all
stuff,
together,
it's quite fun.
for
And
sure.
like you said, there's a lot of humor. A
There's-
lot of humor.
After the first shock dissipates a little bit,
Mhm.
then you're just happy to see people that love you and that care about you and your family members and your
No,
friends
and
and
you kind of
etc.
already sent the deceased off, and
True.
it went well, and
True. The second stage of the funerals
and
are
stuff.
usually kind of fun. We
Yeah.
joke, we laugh. Not like, but it's actually we are just happy to see everybody.
It
so-
reunites.
for sure.
That's the
So that's one, and it was a little bit. So the sad part, at some point, is of course extremely shocking and sad. That's why I think I would not take a young child to funerals if they are not at least like 12, 13. I don't think anybody beyond
Yeah.
beyond that. Anybody
No,
like
even more.
below 13.
Actually, it's like
nobody
that
should
first
go there.
day where there's the body.
No, the first
and
day
then
I
this-
think only adults, like
only
18 and
adults.
over. 18
But
and
after
over.
that, like like a third day, when things
Yeah.
cool off a bit.
Yeah.
And,
Then you should take your kids to show them to pay respect,
Yeah,
etc.
exactly.
So, sorry, this same friend, we sit down. So I was happy to see some of his friends who were happened to be like not my closest friends, but people I knew. So I not joke. I like, hey, how are you? So you're still in Rabat, you're still in Casablanca. What do you do? Blah blah. Long time no see. Blah blah. And then they bring the body
Okay.
wrapped in like fabric, and they lay her down in the middle of the living room where all the chairs are like against the wall, like in circle.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay,
Shit just got real.
shit just got real. So the young brother, he comes and he stands up and he starts crying a lot, and people are like, no, tell your brother to sit. Tell him to sit. Tell him to sit. It's okay. It's okay. So people react to death very differently, and like I don't like how people tell you how to
Yeah,
react
they
to
don't
it.
they don't respect your way of dealing with.
And so many people were like, no, I almost said his name, but no, sit. You go tell him. Okay, I will go. And they go and they say, no, sit. And he says, no, just leave me alone. And he cries, no, just leave me alone. Let him cry it out.
Yeah, and
Like,
let him.
don't tell him how to
yeah.
react to his mother's death. And like, nobody should tell you how to react. Like, if you want to be sad, you're sad. If you want to cry, everybody expresses it differently.
And if
So-
you want to crack jokes, crack jokes.
But like,
Like
yeah, I mean, like in a discreet way, fine. If you want to cry, if you want to laugh, if you want to do whatever. But I hate when people are like telling you how to react to
No.
it. So he was
That's-
like, and I was like, some people next to me, I heard them trying to gather some strength to go up and say, no, no, go tell him to sit. It's okay, it's okay. I'm like, just let him be. Let him be. Like, that's his mom in front of him. She's dead. So, long story short, after a while, they take the body to
Mhm.
go put her on earth. Um, and then my friend, who has no experience in this, neither do
Ah,
I. And he keeps telling me, so what do I do now? I'm like, let me, hold on. Let me check. Let me ask. And then they put like a piece of fabric to hide the body.
yeah,
And the two brothers, who are dressed in a traditional way with babouche and everything, they have to go down the hole
yeah.
and undo all the nuts and take off the drape and then let her there so they can cover her.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's
Honestly,
it's
and
quite
so
traumatic
so what?
experience.
It's very traumatic. So
Yeah.
I said, and I told him, I asked around, and then I told him, listen, you have to do this, you have to do that.
He was like, "No way,
He-
Jose."
He's like, no way, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, man, I'm serious. I said only I wish I could do it with you, man. I would do it for you, but you have to do it with your brother. And his brother was already like a fucking mess.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, okay. So he goes down in his white thing, goes down. It's a mess, and they cover him so nobody sees. He comes back up. He's like sweating, crying, and he sits next to me. He said, "That was rough, brother." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, man." Honestly, I don't know if I could have done it, man. It
Yeah.
was so fucking rough. I said, "How is your brother?" He said he was just like he almost didn't do anything because he was just paralyzed down there.
Man,
That's why it took us forever.
it's rough. It's rough. It's,
Rough. Yeah, rough, man. I went to another one that was actually pretty rough. And that one was actually, and of course, like these two examples, the next one that I'm going to cite here is like somebody who's um, close to me, but not really close.
Mhm.
Like one of my very good friend, his sister, who I know also really well, she lost her son.
Oh, no, that's rough.
That's very rough.
That's rough.
And her
Like,
son was like 3 or 4.
oh my god.
He was trisomic, and
Yeah.
they did everything. They are pretty well off, and they spent all their money trying to do education, the health thing, sending him to France, have an operation there, come back, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
When he died, of course, it was an opportunity to see all my friends from high school and all my friends. And on when we went to bury him, she was there. And in the Moroccan
Yeah,
religion, in the
women
Muslim
should-
religion, women should not be there, which is another topic. But anyways, because on my uncle's funeral, my cousin also went there, and one of the big bearded guy was like, "No, Allah munkar, no, this is not right, this is not right," and everybody was like, "Shut the fuck up! If you don't like it, quit." And actually, this guy, nobody knew him. He was just there, people who gravitate
Yeah.
around that because I don't know. So, anyways, and she was there, and she was crying. And then on her way, and everybody was crying. And on her way down, she hugged everybody, and everybody was like crying
Yeah,
so much. Like she hugged. And when she came to me, I'm like, I got this. I'm not gonna.
No,
you know.
yeah.
As soon as I saw her face, I started crying like a baby.
Man,
That
it's
one was
impossible. Bro,
rough.
you know, there's one thing that is that eases the whole thing is to say, it's the cycle of life.
Yeah, he was
He
old
had
and
a
tired.
nice life,
Yeah,
all that stuff. He can rest now. But a child, man,
it's very very rough. And yeah, man.
I don't
that's-
think that you. I think just by being there, you're already scarred. Not
Yeah,
even if it
for sure.
happens to you or you're involved in it. Like it's,
No, for sure. I think emotionally it's very difficult,
it is.
but also like for people around you, it's like my uncle's funeral. When I go there, I see my father, my uncles, etc. And of course, very difficult. But especially like it marks you, like it really shocks you when you see your uncles, etc., who you look up to.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you hug them and you cry and they're crying too.
yeah.
I think that's very, of course, very emotional.
Well, it kind of like shows you an aspect of life that you never saw before.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's very
Like
rough.
seeing like the Almighty crumble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's difficult, but it's and of course, like I said, I don't like when people tell you how to react. Like
Yeah.
when people say, "Don't cry, don't cry," like, dude, like, why not?
Exactly. Or why
not?
don't?
What do you
Why
mean,
aren't
don't
you
cry?
crying?
Like, I'm not gonna say you should cry, or don't cry. And I think organizing funerals we should definitely find a way to do it better, and not for that to be an additional burden on the family who's suffering the most. Now we have to organize, and I think that one of the beauty actually, usually, neighbors open their houses so
Yeah.
you can. I think that's a
No,
great tradition.
there is like that. The main issue that exists nowadays is not adapting the traditions to today's reality. It's like that overlap that creates the stuff. But overall, like in the idea of it, it's like I told you. Like I think the main word to describe it is that it unites everyone.
True, but also like honestly, at my funerals, I don't worry about making like exceptionally good food, etc. Like make just simple things easy to make. I just want people to be together. I want people to remember me and be, of course, if they are sad, I'm not gonna tell them not to be sad, but just remember the good things about me, like joke around, laugh around.
Yeah.
And what I told my cousins, and I think we should wrap this up. We went a little bit over the time that we usually go by, but anyways, so I told my like just don't. I told my cousins we should get together and see each other, like maybe in a farm or whatever, like in the farm that I have, or my cousins' other farms, or my uncles. Like let's do it every trimester, for example. We will all gather, because it's sad that we only see each other in like funerals or weddings.
Well, that's very true. Usually, when the grandparents leave,
Yeah.
usually
That's it, it's done.
That's the end. Like even though at an individual level you still keep those connections. Like with my cousins, we grew up in my grandmother's home every summer, like for 20 years, and we're very close, like on an individual level. But I can't remember the last time we managed to actually get even half of them all
Yeah.
at the same place, besides said events.
Yeah. 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 No, I think
Or
we should.
weddings. Sometimes weddings
Yeah,
have
like
the
I
same.
said, weddings and funerals. And
Yeah.
let me finish up with this quote that I forgot that I'm gonna read.
Is
And
it
I'm
a new
gonna-
tradition? Like every episode we finish it, like, with
No,
a
I don't
quote?
like traditions because it keeps me it gives me discipline, which clearly I don't have. so I'm gonna roughly translate it. But I thought it was really good, and I saved it on my favorites for a long time, and I think this is a great time to do it. To read it. So they said so two people sitting on a dock of a bay, I guess, and he said, "Oh, one day we will all die." And the other person said, "Yes, but all the other days we all live." So yeah,
Yeah.
one day we will die, but don't look at like death is part of being alive, of course, but it's also interesting to yeah, but today you're alive and tomorrow you're also alive, and maybe the next day you will also be alive. Yeah, maybe next year you'll die, but don't, if you focus on the negative, okay, the death, then you forget that until that day
Yeah.
you should enjoy all those days that you are alive. And
It's very true.
yeah, so,
Very true.
so yeah,
When
I
you
think-
focus on the obstacle, that's when you hit it.
exactly, it's like when you ride a bicycle, like you should always look where you're going, because if you look at the wall you will hit the wall. So all right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you,
an
Reda.
emotional one.
It was emotional. It was actually interesting, and I'm glad that we did this. Like I said, podcast is almost like my therapy. So I actually use it that way, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, to comment. We will come up with a new podcast hopefully next week. We will see you. Until then,